Philip Douthett, the men's marriage mentor here. I help men renew their failing marriages while creating a meaningful legacy. And if that's what you're looking to do, then you're definitely going to want to take notes on today's video. And if you found this information that you're going to learn today to be valuable, be sure to share this video and click the like and subscribe button so that you get the notifications of other videos that I release. Before we get into the video, be sure to stick around to the end where I reveal the details on how you can join me in my free training that walks you through how to renew your failing marriage by doing the right things at the right time in the right order, even if your situation feels completely hopeless right now. So be sure to stick around to the end for that announcement. And just so you know what to expect here, this video that you're about to watch was a training that I did inside of my private group that is directly related to the title of today's video. So get ready to take notes, then apply what you learn so that you can get the results that you desire. So with no further delay, let's get to it. The more the insecurity, the bigger insecurity that you have, the bigger the ego has to be in order to cover it up. This title came off of a conversation that I had where the guy said, "This is my marriage, fuck off, I got this." And I was like, no you don't, but good luck kind of deal, right? Earlier today, I found out that he actually ended up getting divorced. My heart goes out to him. I'm sorry to hear that, but I knew it was going to happen at the same time because he had such a big inflated ego and he was so pissed at everything in himself, at his life. He just could not control his emotions and allow himself to be open to the idea that he did not have all the answers and he did not know what it takes to renew himself as a man, husband, and father. He did not know what it takes to save the marriage. If he did know, he would have done it already, and he obviously would not have been divorced, right? And so that's the reason for the topic this evening. I ended up writing an email about this, and I put it into my email system. So some of you, if you're on my email list, you may have received this email, and this is what I said. He said, "I've been doing this a long time, and I've had many now divorced," I put it in parentheses, "now divorced men tell me that they can handle things on their own when it comes to their marriage. And there's a certain level of shame, guilt, and embarrassment that haunts a man when his marriage is struggling." And I see that a lot. And that's exactly what I was talking about, how if you have a bunch of shame, guilt, anger, embarrassment, bitterness, fill in the blank, right? Insecurity, let's just round it all up and sum it all up with one word, insecurity. And if you have a lot of insecurities about yourself, about your relationship, about your marriage, about your parenting, whatever, unfortunately, too many men cover up that insecurity with their ego. And obviously that comes around and bites them in the ass eventually later in life, just like I did for this guy that I heard about earlier today. And the sad thing is the fact that the shame, the guilt, the embarrassment stops you from seeking the right help and expertise when it comes to going to the right people who have the knowledge, the expertise to save their marriages, right? And honestly, for me, for what I do, it breaks my heart for them. It really does. Because when I see a marriage falling apart, I genuinely, from my heart, I genuinely want to jump in and try to resolve things, give them direction. Like, this is what you need to do. This is when you need to do it. This is how you need to do it. This is why you're doing it, etc. Right? And I've learned over the years, some men are just not ready to accept that. They're just not ready to accept that type of knowledge, input, however you want to define it, into their life. And I've gotten my head ripped off a few times when I've done that. And it saddens me. I got my head ripped off, and I'm like, I get it. I understand why some men get defensive. I get it. But at the same time, I don't get it. Because I'm like, you say that you want to save your relationship. You say that you want to do what's best for your family. You say that you want to keep your marriage together. You say all this shit, but you just don't have the actions, the intention behind it. You don't have the discipline to set aside your ego because you're hiding your insecurity and willing to do the work. You just don't have the discipline to do it. And so some guys will ask me questions like, well, why should I listen to you? This is my marriage. Piss off. I got it from here. Don't tell me what to do kind of deal, right? And sadly, I say in those situations, I'm like, oh, okay, good luck. Good luck with that. Let me know how it turns out. Because you have this big insecurity that's hiding everything, but you're willing to protect that insecurity with your ego instead of actually putting it aside and doing the work that's necessary to save the marriage. And that's your fault. Are you 100% at fault for your marriage failing? No. But you are 100% responsible for stepping up, leading the charge, and taking ownership of your situation and leading the charge towards reconciliation. That's 100% on you. Because here's the thing. Most of you are in a marriage where your wife has decided that she's done, she's out, she doesn't want anything to do with you, I'm out of here, piss off, she's gone, right? So for you, that's where you have to make the decision whether or not you're going to follow her towards divorce, anger, bitterness, resentment, shame, embarrassment, insecurity, whatever, fill in the blank, or lead the charge towards reconciliation, resolve, love, dedication, better communication, better connection, better understanding of one another. And it's your choice. What are you going to do? And guess what? If you're going to lead, that means you have to be willing, not just willing, but also actually do it. And that it is setting aside your ego. Don't just be willing to set aside your ego, actually do it. Because when you do that, the insecurity can come out, and that insecurity can then be dealt with. Because if you hide it, you suppress it, you can't see it, can't feel it, you're numb. And if you're numb, I dare say that you cannot actually understand and feel and connect with other people, especially your wife, when you're numb. Okay? And so you have to ask yourself, is your marriage on the brink of ending? Is it on, the verge of divorce? And guess what? Divorce can be very expensive, very painful, very embarrassing. And for some of you, you keep saying, I'm going to change, or I've put in the change, or I'm willing to change. I hear all that quite often. But what I've said in the past, and so many of you have heard me say this before, where change can feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Change can feel very insincere. Change feels very inauthentic. It feels fake. It makes your wife think and feel as though you are putting on a show, as though you are trying to win her back. You are trying to make her change her mind, or any other manipulative thought process that your wife has based on what you are trying to do when you say you're changing. So I hope that makes sense, right? Because it's not about changing. It's about evolving, maturing, advancing, improving, not changing. Okay? So here's the thing. My intention is always good. I promise you that. From a pure heart, my intention is always good. That's one thing that I can guarantee. But here's the thing. For 99% of you, probably more like 99.99% of you guys, your marriage has been played out far, far below its potential for way too long. In other words, you have not lived up, you have not stepped up, you have not decided to be the man to lead the charge in your marriage, in your life, in your parenting, anything. You have not stepped up and been the leader of the household in an effective way. That's very key, because there are also ineffective, poor leaders. Guaranteed. You can be a good leader, you can be a bad leader. There's different aspects to each. And for some of you who said, oh, I've sacrificed so much, and I've done everything I can to keep my family together, and I provide, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, your intentions are good. That's fine. Intentions are everything. That's fine. But the way you go about it, and the energy behind it, and the feeling behind it, it's just not right. It's leaving your wife feeling taken for granted. It's leaving your wife feel as though she's unnecessary. And that's your fault. It's also your responsibility to correct that fault. It's on your shoulders, not hers. Because your wife's out. She's already made up her mind. Fuck off. You're done. I'm out. See ya. She doesn't care anymore. But it's up to you to change that. And for me, I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. For me, I was living in this, I got this shit syndrome for a long time. And that's what I was telling myself, for a long time, for those 13 months that my wife dropped the divorce papers in my lap to the time that we decided, okay, we're going to do this. I was at that stage for a long time. I got this shit syndrome is what I call this. Right. And I was constantly thinking that I could figure everything out about what it takes to save my failing marriage. All right. And for most of you, you're thinking, feeling, saying the same things I was. But you really literally need to wake the fuck up. Like right now. Wake up. Because here's the thing. As I said earlier, if you had all the answers, you wouldn't be here right now. You would not be in this situation. You would have done what it takes already, but you have not. Because you're not sure what to do. Because you're hiding behind the insecurities. And your ego is protecting you. But it's protecting you for the wrong reasons at the expense of your family. That's your fault. Shame on you. You have to be willing to set aside your ego in order to make this work. I promise you, there's no other way around it. If you want to argue with me on it, I'm not even going to waste my breath because there's just no other way around. You have to set aside your ego. Period. End of story. That's it. Right? Because for so many of you, the pain that you've been in when it comes to the stresses of your marriage, you've been doing this for way too long. Some of you even years. Some of you over a decade. But you've been numb. You've been blind to it. And you also refuse to do what it takes to renew it because you're hiding behind your ego. So what happens? Well, you get worn out. You have a midlife crisis. You go out and you buy maybe a sports car or, motorcycle, something like that. We've all heard that kind of stuff before, and it happens. It happens before because you get stuck, you get numb to that pain, that anger, that guilt, that insecurity, and you don't know what to do. So you just got to do something to feel alive again, but at the expense of your family. And you're killing yourself when you do that. Because you're attempting to fill a void. That void can be filled if you're willing to set aside your ego and do the work. Not just the work. I throw that term around a lot where I say the work. It's not just about doing the work. It's about doing the right work at the right times, in the right order, with the right intentions. I'll give you an example. For me, my men's marriage mastery program, we don't get to the I'm sorry, the proper apology, the key word is proper, the proper apology until week 4 of the program. Because for most of you, 99.99% of you, your relationship is at the point where it's so fragile it cannot handle the pressure of I'm sorry. Because think about what I'm sorry does. And this is just an example about timing, okay? When you say I'm sorry, you are eliciting some sort of response from the other party. In this case, your wife. What if she doesn't want to forgive you? What if she doesn't want to say, okay, I understand you're sorry and I forgive you. What if she doesn't want to do that? That puts pressure on her to respond to you in that way. And what if she's backing off? She's like, I don't want to think that. I don't want to feel that right now. I don't want to have anything to do with that type of emotion that you're attempting to elicit from her. So it puts pressure on her and she's going to back off even further. That's not good for you. So you have to build the foundation of the relationship much stronger than what it is now, to the point where it can accept and receive that type of pressure. And even if there is pressure there, when you've built the foundation stronger, it can be handled in a much healthier way, and it's more likely to be received. The question is how, right? But here's the thing. You need to understand that if you're here, you need help. That's why you're here. You need help. And there's no shame in that at all. There's not. And there's no judgment from me whatsoever. Why? Because here's the thing. If you love yourself and you love your family so much that you're willing to set aside your ego and seek the right help, hats off to you, brother. You've got the utmost of respect from me. Because I was there. I've been there. I was trying to fill that void, that insecurity that I had for so long with my ego. And it almost cost me my marriage. So for those of you who think that, fuck off, I got this, this is my marriage, don't tell me what to do. First of all, fuck you, you don't. You don't know. You have no clue. You're wasting your breath. You're wasting your time. And every second that ticks by, literally every second that ticks by, things are getting worse. And your wife is drifting further and further and further and further and further away. And it's your fault for not setting aside your ego and stepping up and asking for help. That's your fault. No one else's. And it's 100% your responsibility to make that happen. I just covered a lot of great information that will help you to renew both yourself and your marriage. And I hope that you put everything that you just learned into practice, because that's the only way that you're going to get results. But there is so much more that you can do, and I'm going to cover all of that in my free training that walks you through how to renew your marriage, even if your wife has told you that there's nothing that you can do to change her mind. So if you'd like to learn the specific strategies and methods that thousands of my clients have used and continue to use to renew their failing marriages and create a meaningful legacy, then click the link below, watch that free training, and then feel free to submit an application after that. Also, be sure to click the link to access my private Facebook group, where you can get support and connect and even learn from a community of men who are also struggling to keep their failing marriages together. And when you join, I'll even send you a free copy of my latest ebook. And if you like what you heard today and you want more content like this from me, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to comment below with any questions or tell me whatever it is that you found to be the most helpful. And like I mentioned before, click the link below for that free training that I mentioned earlier. I'm Douthett, the Men's Marriage Mentor, and I'll see you on the next video.